Okay, if you're a teacher, you know the struggle of trying to manage a noisy classroom. Your first instinct, right, is to raise your voice to speak over everyone. But what if that's actually kinda making things worse? Today, we're gonna dive into the surprising power of a quiet voice.
Does this hit home for you? I mean, this quote is so relatable. That feeling of being stuck on public announcement mode all day long. It's totally exhausting, and you start to wonder, is anybody even listening anymore?
So let's talk about what I like to call the loud teacher trap. And hey, this isn't about pointing fingers. It's this super common pitfall that's just incredibly easy to fall into. We've all been there.
I mean, the logic seems simple enough, doesn't it? A loud class needs a loud teacher. It's just this intuitive reaction to crank up your own volume to cut through all the chatter. For a lot of us, that's just how it's done.
But here's the big question, the twist. What if that constant public announcement voice is actually training your students to ignore you? Yeah, that's where things get really interesting. So let's flip that idea on its head. Let's really get into the psychology behind why lowering your voice can be this surprisingly powerful tool for getting and keeping their attention.
Think of it like this. The loud approach just creates this wall of sound that students pretty much learn to tune out. But a quiet voice, it does something totally different. It creates a vacuum. It sparks curiosity. Students have to lean in. And in the process, they often quiet themselves down without you even asking.
And this all comes down to a really cool idea, persistent loudness. You know, our brains are literally wired to filter out constant background noise. It's like the hum of a refrigerator or the sound of traffic outside. After a while, you don't even notice it's there. A teacher's voice, if it's always loud, can become that exact same kind of background noise. And here's a principle that's so simple but so powerful. Students often mirror their teacher's volume. If you get louder, they get lower. It becomes this escalating cycle that just goes nowhere good. But if you deliberately lower your voice, you might be absolutely amazed to see them quiet down to match you.
This quote just nails the human element of it, doesn't it? A quiet voice is like an invitation. It signals that something important, or maybe even a secret, is being shared. It makes us stop what we're doing because, we don't want to miss out. It's all about leveraging curiosity, which is one of the most powerful engines for engagement there is.
Okay, so that's the why. We get it. But how do you actually do this? Let's get into some simple, practical experiments you can try to start harnessing the power of a quieter voice in your own classroom, like tomorrow. Okay, so here are 3 things to try. First, instead of that big, booming, "Okay, everyone, settle down," just start your lesson at a lower volume. See what happens. Second, try giving the instructions for the next activity very, very quietly. The need to know what to do is a huge motivator. And third, tell a story quietly. A good story told in a low voice can be absolutely magnetic. Now, let's be super clear. The goal here is not to whisper or be impossible to hear. It's about finding that sweet spot, that reduced volume that still reaches every student, but makes them focus and listen actively instead of just letting a loud voice wash over them. And just a few really important reminders. This is not about being quiet all the time. It's about using your volume strategically. A loud, energetic voice is perfect for a review game, right? But a quiet one is way better for complex instructions. And this is the big one. Always, always be mindful of any students with hearing difficulties and make sure everyone can actually hear you. Look, the real power here, the real magic, comes from just trying this out for yourself. So let's wrap this up with a few questions to get you started on your own little classroom experiment. All right, first question, just a quick self-check. What's your default setting? Are you a loud teacher or a quiet teacher? There's no right or wrong answer here, but just knowing is the first step. Now think back over the last few days in your classroom. Was your volume a conscious choice you were making, or was it just a habit? Can you think of any moments where a different volume might have created a totally different energy? And here is your call to action. Please don't try to change everything all at once. Just pick one small moment in your next lesson, maybe when you're giving instructions, and just try turning down the volume. That's it. Just see what happens. And that really gets us to the heart of it. This isn't just about noise control. It's about curiosity, it's about engagement, it's about connection. So the final question is really just this. What could you discover by turning down the volume? Something to think about, for sure.